This keyboard currently holds the topmost easiest teardown award in my list as of now. So Redragon sent me their new 98 key Eisa K686 Pro, and this is truly one of my favorite gasket mounted keyboards to modify. I will explain further in the latter parts of this video. Join me as we explore the Eisa's internals and the nitty-gritty stuff you should know before you buy. The Eisa Pro is a Trimode keyboard that connects via wired, Bluetooth, and a dongle. So I have here the battery of the Eisa, but I just can't see exactly how much battery there is. I'm gonna have to remove this black foam on top of it that's stuck with adhesive. But that's alright because I'm gonna remove it anyways in the teardown later on. What do we have here? 3000 milliamp hour battery right there. Speaking of its battery, you may press function delete to check battery levels. This features a plastic knob that controls volume by default, and with a 3-second press changes the mode to customizing LED brightness. This has linear red switches and is branded Redragon. More on this later. It's got a gasket mounted structure, which we will further improve in the video by not adding much to the keyboard, instead taking some things out of the keyboard. Then we will compare which would sound better, which one would feel better, dampened or not, tape modded or stock. You will decide. Before I get ahead of myself, in its box you get the keyboard itself, its manual, cable, switch puller, extra switches, and some stickers. Although the keyboard may be lightweight, the outer shell looks decent. We will go over more on this in the aesthetics part of this video. It's got a 2-level kick-up feet with rubber underneath, which you get with like 99% of keyboards at this price range. Moving on, the knob has very little wobble to it thanks to the knob module being baked onto the PCB. Nice. For the switches, you get a toggle switch for connectivity at the left side of the keyboard, along with a toggle switch for the OS. The software has all I'm looking for and the ability to add in mouse clicks to macros, which is the #1 thing I'm always looking for in terms of software. Key binding is here, and so is RGB customization. Keycaps are an OEM profile and made with shine through PBT. Good. Why? Well, they're more resistant to shining and contribute to a deeper sound profile to your keyboard. Good idea putting Mac layout as alternate prints instead of adding Mac keycaps. It saves the consumers, us, money. Switches are linear reds, and these must be new refreshes to old linear reds from Redragon, as there isn't much of a clack when bottoming out. Plastic contact points inside may have been updated. I opened this up and so far I do not see any paddings inside that would mute this. Interesting. The stabilizers are pre-lubed and they are generously greased. The stabs rattle a little bit and is imperfect due to the loose stabs. I would replace these stabs with tighter aftermarket stabilizers. Anyways, here's an acoustic test for you all. I dig the colorway of this keyboard. So far, I am impressed by Redragon's colorway choices in their new keyboards. They're offering this in another upgraded version, the Eisa Pro Max. Kidding. The Eisa Segera Max. I'm kidding. It's the Eisa Pro SE, featuring lubed switches and an anime woman to keep those lover boys inspired. By the way, I will put links to this in the description, of course. Let's talk about branding this time. And I admit I don't like heavy branding on my keyboards. So far, there are only 2 prints on the top case, the brand name and the tagline. Not much of an issue for me as I don't see them, so out of sight, out of mind. On to Christmas lights. This has got a ton of lighting modes and more than 10 static colors to choose from. Pair that with north-facing LEDs and its shine-through keycaps and you have yourself the perfect RGB keyboard. I always say I don't care about RGB, but actually, I really don't. I care more about saving battery, but if you like RGB, you do you. Teardown is super easy, but carelessness can still lead to damage, so watch closely. I believe, but I haven't confirmed yet, that this will be one of the easiest teardowns I'm ever gonna experience with mechanical keyboards. So let me remove these screws and let's see what will happen after that. Yep, that confirms it. I have the top case off with just removing 10 screws. No need to pry anything off and scratching your keyboard unnecessarily. Teardowns should be made easy for us. Now, I am having some trouble understanding why I couldn't remove the plate from the bottom case. It feels as if there's another screw here. So it turns out PCB is stuck to the battery with adhesive, and that battery is stuck to the bottom case with adhesive as well. So pry out the battery off with utmost care, please. Yay! And after that, you're good to go. But wait, there's a wire to the daughter board. First, disengage the locks before pulling the wires out. And now you got the PCB in your hands. Cable management would have been made better if the battery is connected to the daughter board instead. As for the PCB, it is connected to the plate with screws, so take those out first for complete disassembly. The internals of this thing is where Eisa shines. The plate is made of polycarbonate and has flex cuts in them. Under the PC plate, you have a sandwich foam and a switch pad. Then under the PCB, you get another layer of foam and some dense EVA foams as standoffs. Onto its PCB, it's a universal hot swap board that accepts both 3 pins and 5 pins. LEDs are north facing and screw-in ports for screw-in stabs are not available on this unit. On the bright side, the PCB has per-key flex cuts, so basically Redragon opted for lower cost switches and stabilizers for Trimode connectivity and flex cut PCB at this price range. A flex cut PCB is a huge must for gasket mounted keyboards for better flex. Plus, at the end of the day, it's easier to swap out switches and stabilizers versus changing PCBs. Well, speaking of changing some things, let's do some minor modifications on this thing. Firstly, I don't think we will be needing these EVA standoffs. We want the keyboard to flex a little bit to fully utilize the gasket structure and flex cut PCB for more bounce and flex. Now, this would potentially make it sound hollow, but that is not entirely bad. Some people prefer hollow sounding boards as it gives a marbly poppy sound to the keyboard, like this one. Next, we're going to tape mod this thing with not just masking tape, but both masking tape and cloth tape for more density. What this will do is potentially deepen the hollow sound, but there are lots of variables to consider before concluding how this will actually sound, so the only way to know is to listen to it. So I'm listening to the recordings again and I don't really hear a huge difference between both, and that's probably because I'm using a bad microphone. But anyway, such is the beauty of the keyboard hobby. You try, you fail, you try again next time. This is Biboyharanero. I leave links in the description for the Redragon K680. What's that? K8? What? Redragon Eisa. Anyways, don't forget to not subscribe.